Hello, Online Plus faculty. You probably stumbled onto this page because you have delivered a few virtual classes on your own, feeling pretty comfortable with Adobe Connect, and you're ready to take your sessions to the next level. I have a couple additional things to add for what to do before class, during, and after class, but let's start before you even host that first session. Add a poll to your course and find out when the time is most convenient for your students to attend. Select a couple times that you know that online students are attending classes. Think about later in the evening, maybe on the weekend, later afternoon. Really early times don't work so well, like 8 or 9 o'clock, but anytime maybe around lunchtime so that they could attend on their breaks at work, or in the evening is when online students are doing their coursework. Think about your group of students. What course are you teaching? Are they working during the day? Are they working during the evening? You want to be able to host a time that's most convenient for them, and adding a poll to your course with several options for them to pick from will give you more information as to when is going to be best for them. Maybe even think about hosting an orientation event or an open house in that first week of the quarter to introduce them to Adobe Connect. I would again think about using voice over IP for audio, but adding in that meeting one conference information so that students can call in on the telephone if needed is a good idea. I'll walk you through that in Adobe Connect in just a second. And then think about using a headset. I have one on right now. It's just a Logitech headset. Plug it into the USB port on your computer, and it will go ahead and you can select that through Audio Setup Wizard and use that in your Adobe Connect sessions. So let's take a peek at some different ways that you can use audio, and then talk about also possibly turning on your webcam for your students to see you. So again, we can go to audio and start meeting audio. You might want to use phone, might want to use the computer. Let's say we're just going to use the computer this time and connect a Logitech headset or some other type of USB headset. So use your computer, click start. Then we're going to go over here to Audio Setup Wizard and follow the instructions on the screen. So we'll say next. You can play a sound and be able to hear what comes through the speakers. Make sure you can hear it. And then it's going to want you to select the microphone that you have. I have multiple microphones connected to this computer, but I currently want to use this USB headset. So we select that, say next, and click record. And it will record anything and see that blue bar moving. You can read the instructions on the screen and then say stop, and then play the recording back to you, and it will record, and you'll be able to hear your voice come through the speakers. You then click next and test the silence, and when you're testing the silence you don't want to speak at all, and when that bar gets all the way over to the blue end, you'll click next and say finished, and then your Audio Setup Wizard has run. When you go up to connect your microphone, just say connect my audio, and it's coming through that Logitech headset. So let's disconnect the microphone and look again at what happens to start the phone. So if we start meeting audio, because now you might have some students that come in and want to use the phone. So we want to make sure that both of these buttons are selected using phone and computer. But you as the instructor must start the audio conference, meaning you must dial in through the phone if you want to allow your students to do that. The easiest way to do it is to enter a phone number right here in the screen. I have used the phone before for this option, so it automatically remembered my last phone number that I entered. We would click join. It's going to dial that option on my computer, and once that connects, I have a little telephone button here clicked next to my name. Notice that the audio bridge has started up here, and they have the details to be able to see how to do that, and participants can all do the same thing to go up to the top of the screen and connect their audio. They will be able to see these options. If you have started the audio bridge, meaning the meeting one conference, they will be able to see all three of these options, but they can connect through any of them. Now let's sort of discuss a few of the in-class activities that you could start to do with your students. Really thinking about using yes/no questions to use those user status symbols. Try an icebreaker at the beginning of a class just to sort of get students talking a little bit. Ask them what their favorite activity is to do during the season that you're in. If you're in winter time, do they like to ski? Do they like to go snowshoeing? Do they just like to stay inside beside the fire? Think about just ways to get the students comfortable in the environment by using any type of icebreaker question. It's basically just a conversation that you're having at the start to get to know your students and to show your personality so they get to know you. Might think about setting some ground rules for participation, letting them know they need to raise their hand with the user status symbol. to communicate with you or to ask a question, letting them know that we need to be polite in the chat box, just sort of setting those rules at the beginning of a session so they know what type of etiquette is appropriate in this virtual session. Start asking for volunteers to answer questions as opposed to just delivering information, and potentially use a notes pod to take some virtual notes, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. In terms of getting the students to interact with each other using breakout rooms, this is a good way to just sort of introduce breakout rooms using the default layout that's there, kind of popping them into a breakout room, then pulling them back in and allowing them to have that little discussion. We'll look at breakout rooms in just a minute as well. A couple other things in terms of content: start to use those polls, add short answer questions, knowledge checks throughout as you're presenting material or they're watching a video, and then add a poll. Did they actually pay attention to what you just did? Did they get the information from the video that you wanted them to in that live session? Remember, this virtual classroom is exactly like your residential classroom. You're just in a flat computer environment, sitting in front of a computer with your participants, not in the same physical room with you, but you can do the same types of activities. So start to play with new layouts, utilizing desktop share, allowing the participants in your session to share their desktops, adding some video files in there to start to integrate those different pieces. Now let's take a look inside Adobe Connect, kind of walk through the notes pod as well as breakout rooms, and look at the poll layout so you can see what that looks like. So remember that you have these default layouts over here on the side, and that's how Adobe Connect functions, for you to be able to change what it looks like when folks log in. And so I've uploaded a presentation here that just has some pictures for them to be able to see. We can move to this video layout here as well, but you might want to start to use, if you're in a video, a notes pod to take some notes. So you go up to pods, select notes, add new note. And you can type directly on the screen, and the students will actually be able to see you typing as that occurs. You can then, once these notes are taken and the students might want those at the end of the session, click on pod options, say export note. You can email that note to yourself, enter an email address and click send, and it will go, and then a little message tells you that it was sent, and you say OK. Let's take a look again at the presentation layout, and say we put up a presentation here for students to look at. Now we might want to go and send them in breakout rooms, have them look through these pictures of these different Texas sunsets and compare what they like and what they don't like, what's similar, what's different, maybe even talking about what is the same from their own hometown. So we put them in breakout rooms. So we go to the attendees pod, look at these different views here, and the middle one is breakout room. And so you can click on start breakouts, and it will then start a breakout session. Notice up here. But I don't have any participants. If I had participants, let's go ahead and end breakout rooms. I'll tell you what you need to do first. If I had participants, they'd still be here in the main meeting room with me. You need to click on this button that says evenly distribute from main, and that's going to evenly distribute the number of participants you have in your meeting room evenly throughout any breakout rooms that you have. If you have 10 students and you want to put 2 in each room, we need 5 breakout sessions. The problem is the default is 3. All you do is click on the plus sign. It's going to add another breakout room for you. They're all going to be the same layout because it's just a default. So then you'll click evenly distribute. It will take your 10 participants, 2 in each room. You are the host, so you stay in the main meeting room, and then start breakouts. They will immediately go to the breakout sessions and stay there until you're finished, until you say end. If you want to send them all a message, just letting them know we're going to be in here for 10 minutes, I'll call you back before you know, or I'll let you know before we end those sessions. Just click on broadcast message, leave them a message here, and say send, and it will just automatically go to them. Let's take one more look then at, after we end our breakout session, let's go to the polls layout and show you that really quick. These are already defaulted polls that are here. You can just go in here and ask a question. What is your favorite color? And then this is a multiple choice. You have multiple answer, which they can select from multiple answers, or short answer where they can enter their own. You want to put one answer per line as it indicates on the screen. And then click Open. And now they can select from whatever their favorite color is. And you'll be able to see those interactions happening on the screen. All right, and now we're back here to our Online Plus Intermediate page and talking about what it is that we're going to do for follow-up. So we want to make sure that we notify students at the start of a session that their participation will be recorded, and then start that recording of the session. Think about reviewing it before you release it to students instead of just sending it, so that you remember what you said. There might be some important notes at specific points throughout the session that you're going to run a reference. Make some notes for what you want to improve on the next time. It's really difficult to watch ourselves on a recording, but it is definitely a valuable experience. You can see how many times you say the word how you look around at the screen and don't really pay attention. So lots of different things we can learn from watching ourselves. Also might learn to smile a little bit more. I know that I have a difficult time sometimes with my facial expression. Sometimes I feel like I'm too serious, and so trying to be a little bit more playful, add some personality to it. Then you'll want to share that recording in an announcement or course mail message, but think about adding some additional information as opposed to just that URL. So sending them to another link, giving them the PowerPoint presentation as an attachment. Just some other ways to enhance that recording. Reviewing your poll results from a live session under the reports area, and then creating an attendance log using a chat pod. Any chat pod you can email yourself, just like I talked about with the notes pod. You can email the chat pod to yourself. Just have the students enter their name, first and last name, and email if you want, or some other type of fun piece of information. And you can email that to yourself so you knew who came to the session. We're going to head on over to Adobe Connect again, because I want to show you how to get quickly from the recorded or from the Adobe Connect meeting room to the recordings area in Connect Central. All right, so we are back here on the lobby layout. If you are finished with your session and you want to go find the recording, go up to the Meeting tab and click Manage Meeting Information. It's going to pull up a new web page, and it's going to take you directly. Now we're in Connect Central. We've gone to the user meetings under my name, and it's my sample meeting room. This is right to the meeting information area. Now I can click on recordings and find my recording that's been listed here and be able to quickly send that out or review it or anything like that. Under the Reports tab is where you're going to be able to find any type of information by attendee, meaning who attended your meeting, information by session, so then you could see who's attended each session, and then by question. If there were polls that we had conducted during a session, you would have the answers to those questions right here, and that's where you're going to find all that information in Connect Central. This isn't going anywhere. It's going to be here until you delete that meeting room. So if you go to Manage Meeting Information, it's going to take you directly here to Connect Central to this Meeting Information tab, but then you'll be able to find your recordings and reports. I know I threw a lot at you in this intermediate section, a lot more than I did in the beginner section, but I feel like dabbling in a little bit each time. Pick one thing to do new each week or one thing to do new each quarter, so you can vary things up, really push the limits of Adobe Connect. Once you've mastered those technical how-tos, how do I log in, how do I add content, how do I get audio started, all of those pieces, it takes some time to master that. But then it's time to, all right, let's add a poll here. Show them a video. Let's integrate the whiteboard in a different way. Let's start a little breakout session and not be afraid of that. You can do it. And so in this intermediate section, I hope that you'll play with a couple of these tools. Leave us some feedback in the discussion board, letting us know what's working, and just have fun with it. Talk to you next time.